Inside belong with pain. Na, mir haben dus la grand malo. Also mistap long auscry. Belong Jew must come back. This long Jew. In bin stab sample here long in. Ni bin stab also man na Mary belongs la place. So now Jew gone down. Mistap also mobile something nothing belongs to la country. Then Jew must come back.
I first became involved with the Baiyer River Wildlife Sanctuary as a volunteer. I saw a newspaper ad actually. I just read the advertisement. It called for volunteers for all walks of life. I rang up the company. It was called the Australian Volunteers International. And about 2 months later, after an interview, I found myself in the Highlands of Papua New Guinea, just out of Mount Hagen in a place called Baiyer River Wildlife Sanctuary.
Well, the sanctuary was established in late '67. It goes back to the time when Fred Shaw Mayer was collecting wildlife specimens around Southeast Asia. He had developed a very strong reputation in scientific circles. Sir Edward Hallstrom, philanthropist from Sydney in New South Wales, who was then the honorary director of Taronga Zoo, got interested in developing an experimental agricultural station in the Highlands of New Guinea and obtained land from the administration at Nondigal in the Western Highlands and the eastern end of the Wagi Valley. Fred came to the attention of Sir Edward, and Sir Edward employed Fred as a collector throughout New Guinea and had him there as a manager. So Fred established aviaries, he collected widely, established birds of paradise and gaura pigeons and tree kangaroos and things like that in the Nondigal collection. And some of those went down to Taronga Zoo in Sydney and others went overseas to overseas zoos. By the mid-60s, Sir Edward decided that he wanted to divest himself of the Nondigal facility, and various people became aware that the facility was going to close down, and then it became a bit of a problem, what's going to happen to the wildlife. So a group of local residents, planters and government officials decided they should make a move to establish or retain the collection in the Western Highlands as a tourist attraction.
Come on here. Yeah. Come on. Hello.
Over the 10 years that I was there, I think we did quite reasonably well in bringing it up to quite a good reputation. We certainly had a lot of visitors. We had lots of tour groups coming there. We were building up quite a good thing. More and more people were coming, so more and more money was coming in. We built up the animal collection till there were over 400 animals and birds. And we were able to successfully breed some of these things.
How long does it time? We told them to play go finish long end. You can't belong in. All white man will capsize. All man marry belong. All could have country. Long this the world already will come. Time George Graham stop now. Time you come long Roy Mackay. Only come you go, me look more kind can face, kind can car, kind can me bin harem, kind can talk place.
Now big in Bakarabim Bulukiran, the way all got him, all Bakarabim. That's your own of making Gaman in Lucim Tasso. The less is was in it. Now all mania is Tapia, Emolo, Garailon Jutaso. Now beyond by come back or no guy. No one banis, no one old something if me Bakarap long and one man or Kerabim Gen to Wagim Nupla.
In previous times, under the leadership of Roy Mackay and Graham George, they were really the boom times. And when I got there, what I was confronted with was a really degraded historical remnant of what once was. Buildings were there was large constructions of banks of cages. There was even a very large Bailey bridge over a river. You could actually see a lot of plantings as well. There was things like an orchid garden set up without orchids, that they'd fallen down and they'd started growing on the ground. There was also an old generator shed. There was also an old tractor. There was all these old remnants of what once was. And my job really was to restore all of these things to supposedly the former glory of what it once was.
The real source of fixing this place was a personnel, scientists who would know and understand the environment in this part of the country. People reluctant to come because of law and order problems. And I went around and then, hunting for people, especially scientific people with some experience with animals, birds, flowers, environment. So I got Rodney.
My first impression of Papua New Guinea was I was in awe of the country. The people in the Baiyer River region were very welcoming to me. They greeted me with open arms. They really welcomed me into their community, into their society. Myself being, red-headed, blue-eyed white guy, I stood out like a sore thumb. And instead of people trying to rip me off, I guess, or attacking me, the Baiyer River people actually banded together and treated me as their own, a family member, I guess. And I would walk into villages, I would sit down with the chiefs, I would discuss many different things. I made an effort to really learn the language. I guess my own experience was that I wanted to give back to the people as well. So whenever I did walk into a community, I tried as much as I could to interact with them. I even took that as far as bathing in the rivers with everybody else. I ate with my hands. I left my knives and forks back in Australia. I really tried to lose my Western thinking and really embrace another culture, I guess. And they did the same for me as well.
Milagi mola manlonga opposition again help him sambla work come zelon Jew. Milagi plan the old tourist come or kind get animal mi plus a local.
They're trying to catch a cassowary and move it to another cage.
Time you black on him and finish you black tight him to black leg, huh?
The current situation at the zoo is that the people are trying to band together to come together and to continue the zoo as a functional zoo. They're continuing to feed the animals, they're having regular markets, they're selling their produce. There are currently probably 5 paid staff members. They're not paid a lot, but they are paid, and there's probably another 15 volunteers. So the community has banded together. They're doing all they can. Financially, they don't have much money. I can't actually foresee a lot of tourists coming back to the area because of there's a lot of rascals up in Mount Hagen, and the criminal element is a little bit rife up there on that road. It's only one way into the area, and unfortunately, the people at the top of that road still continually stop vehicles and have roadblocks and things of that nature. So unfortunately, I can't see the sanctuary really becoming what it used to be. I think those days are sadly long gone. However, the local people, they can't see that, and they're trying to do everything they can.
This used to be the one-time popular lodge. We accommodated well over 40 people at night at times. But these are the remains of once a very good lodge. An incomer to the sanctuary. It's at this stage with people, bedding down the lodge, and we got to do something to try and get this lodge up and going again.
But probably people are preaching about law and order problem. It is not a really law and order problem. It's just that the minor culprits who are standing on the road is looking for a little bit of
at least chance of little bit of. I'm robbing, but robbing people, getting a little bit here and there. But I think we will take care of it when we have a regular police patrol. We will really make use of the law and order in our elected. I think we'll take care of that area, and the flow of tourists will be continuous like we had in fine previous days, previous years.
Towards the end of my time, it became a bit dangerous for tourists to come down because of the increased fighting amongst the tribes. We would have been happy to live there the rest of our lives. It was a lovely place. We liked the people very much, but things became too difficult with the wars, and we were held up ourselves, and we thought, well, we don't want to put up with guns. And I stayed for the end of my contract, but that was it. I thought I wouldn't renew it after that. It could have grown even bigger, much bigger, and been quite an asset to the country. Most of the place was destroyed about 2 years after we left. However, these things do happen. It's a very volatile country altogether, but it really is a marvellous place.
Currently, the Baiyer River Wildlife Sanctuary is a bit like a ghost zoo. There's not a lot of animals there. Naturally, in the surrounding areas, sure, there's a lot of biodiversity, there's a lot of natural beauty, but it's not really set up for preserving that in its entirety. The local people are trying to maintain the zoo as they think once was. Now, just in the general feedings, they do tend to feed the animals the wrong types of foods. For example, when I got there were a lot of pawpaws fed to cassowaries and right up to cuscusses, to tree kangaroos. They all feed them pawpaw in large quantities, which is not the ideal diet, and there's a lot of sickness, there's a lot of disease, and there's no medication at all. But the local people, they're doing as best they can. They long for the days when they saw all these tourists, they saw all these top scientists from around the world, and they saw them all converging into their own community, in the Baiyer River community. They long for those days, so I guess the notion is to try and do whatever they can so all these scientists will come back. I left the sanctuary because of a lot of political pressure. I guess I was there to try and rehabilitate this old wildlife sanctuary. There was only one small village that was causing a lot of friction in the area, and they were trying to reclaim the wildlife sanctuary back and incorporate it back into their land. So they came up into the higher reaches up at the far western side, and they started actually logging a few trees, and that created a lot of controversy, and the whole entire community was in uproar. Because I was representing development, I guess, I was representing tourists coming in. They really wanted to do away with everything and wanted to claim the land as their own, so they didn't want me there. So they threatened me all the time with spears, shovels were thrown at me, even shovels. And I'm sure it was nothing personal, and since they've said that to me, oh, nothing personal, it's in the past. But they just wanted the land back for themselves.
Na mi som na bel sorry olsen. This la tube long me must stop life. Na ola harap la country can look him. Na give me some like help me come na. This la you can come back again. Strong la think long me like him. You must come back. I mean, can go down or he die or get